Hi, I'm Paul Sherland, and I'm here with Daryl Mather of BUGCO Pest Control in San Antonio. And we're going to talk a little bit about termite bait stations and do termite bait stations work?
Yeah, sure. Some of the primary concerns we have with using bait stations versus some of the other application methods or delivery methods we have is when is it appropriate? And that's always going to be a concern with any type of pest control when you start talking about reducing and controlling the number of, any pest, but specifically here we're talking about subterranean, drywood, and Formosan termites. Some of the considerations to be made are location and are you near a body of water, an estuary, creek, bayou, or and also what kind of termites are we trying to treat for? So in regards to that, it's really important to get eyes on it. Also, is it a pier and beam house? Is it elevated off of the ground, or is it a solid concrete foundation? And unfortunately, in San Antonio, we see a lot of pier and beam homes because some places are hill country. um, so these are all things that we're going to want to take a look at. So when is it appropriate? It would be appropriate when it's near a body of water and we can't apply within 65 feet of that body of water. So we'd want to try to monitor, and then once we notice that there are termites, then we're going to want to go ahead and add a termiticide.
There are these bait stations that I could buy at the big box stores, and
Hmm.
are they gonna work for me if if I have a house in New Braunfels or Bernie or someplace like that? Is Can I just put those bait stations from the big box stores around my home and protect myself from termites that way, or no?
Well, do-it-yourself pest control, while everyone has the ability to do it, it comes down to one of those, but is it the right thing to do? Um, we have a saying, the label is the law. And for consumers, if you're not reading the label and if you're not understanding the label, which might be the more important aspect of that, if you're not understanding what you're doing, then what you could be doing is there are repellents, non-repellents, and attractants. Basically, you're luring the termites to that bait station. If they're in the area, then you're going to go ahead and lure them over to your house. If you let it lapse, once you've lured them over, but you didn't put a termiticide in, then and they eat all of the lure, then the next best thing and the next biggest thing is your house right beside that bait station. So you're talking about routine maintenance, uh, frequently as quarterly or monthly, depending on the needs of the particular client. So routine maintenance, if a consumer they install it and they forget about it and they never do anything about it again, then all you've done is you've lured the termites over to your house. So it's very important that the frequency with which they're monitored, the frequency with which termiticide is applied, as well as the location. These are all things that you should really leave to experts unless you know what you're doing as a layman or.
Okay. Um, and we were talking about this topic a little bit earlier. The bait stations as you mentioned might be appropriate in places where you're near water, and the Termidor Aichi is not appropriate near a pond or stream or something like that. But the Termidor Aichi has some unique qualities that you can use to combat termites. And you were talking about Termidor Aichi a little bit earlier. And one of the things that was most impressive to me was that it not only kills the termites that come in contact with it as they try to get into my house, but the termites basically act as messengers to bring the Termidor HE back to the colony and kill the colony. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So that actually opens up a few different topics besides just the application method and the shelf life of it and it's how it's delivered to the colony. So Termidor HE is a soil application, liquid soil application. And the reason it's so effective is because it bonds to the soil, it leaches in, it holds onto the soil. And as the emphasis on the name subterranean termites, As they move from their colony underground and into your house, they're moving through the soil. And as they take, they're going to take their food, and they're moving all amongst themselves. They're touching each other. They're running by. And so they're spreading it like they would spread a virus. So you sneeze, you cough in public, and someone else gets it. They're doing the same thing. And they're trading it amongst the colony. And anywhere from, it could take up to 90 days to kill off the whole colony, because it's, once again, acts like a virus, or it's systemic. So as opposed to, that's very highly effective on subterranean termites, where we utilize other methods for drywood termites, because drywoods, they can fly in, they fly up high, they land on the termite swarmers, land on the house. You're not going to see them as active that low to the ground. Yeah, certainly against the Formosan subterranean and eastern subterraneans, but not as effective against the drywood termites.
One of the other things that a professional pest control company like BUGCO offers is a warranty for the termite treatment that you provide. Could you talk about that for a little bit?
Well, we try to make it as convenient as possible for our consumers and our clients. So, say, Paul, you called me up and said, Daryl, I need a termite treatment on the house. Well, we want, first and foremost, want to do an inspection. We want it to be able to tell you what's going on, the scope of work involved. So, if you said, yeah, let's go ahead and move forward with this, then we'll conduct the treatment itself. And all of our treatments come with some kind of warranty. So, say for instance, we did a subterranean termite treatment on your house. We're going to warranty you for that for 1 year, but we can continue to activate that warranty for basically a lifetime warranty. So every year we can come back, re-inspect, ensure that there's no damage or activity, and then renew that warranty. And I don't like using the word insurance or insurance policy, but if you think of it from the perspective of, you keep it active, something happens, say you get an active infestation of subterranean termites, we're going to come back at no additional cost to you and go ahead and treat that problem area. So as long as you maintain that, while the chemical is slated to last between 8 and 10 years bonded to the soil, barring something like you disturb the soil doing construction, you remove the soil to put in a mulch bed, that invalidates the warranty. But so long as you keep it active and don't disturb the soil, we can continue to extend that for the life of the program. And the great thing about that is that has a transferable warranty. So you want to sell the home, the buyer's going to go ahead and get that warranty.
Okay.
Now, that's with a treatment, but we also do have a program called the Termite Pledge. And for qualifying clients, we're going to want to inspect the property, make sure that you do indeed qualify for the program. Much like the termite treatment warranty, if you get termites during your pledge period, then we'll come out and spot treat at no additional cost to you. Well, there's a variety of different treatment methods. It's not always going to be a liquid application in regards to termites. There are going to be situations that warrant the bait stations. While those are very prevalent on the outside of the home to use as a monitoring, and then if termite activity is found, to use termiticide to start killing off, reducing, and controlling the colony. It is sometimes necessary to use interior monitoring stations, though that's fewer and far between. So your standard suburban residents not going to really require that. We utilize those a lot in historic buildings, churches, places where the activity is very, say for instance, very large, high vaulted ceilings. So interior and exterior monitoring stations differ, and we utilize it based on the needs of the client.
Okay. And would those interior monitoring stations be for maybe different types of termites? Um,
Certainly, yeah. You could use them for drywoods, you can use them for Formosans, and you also subterraneans, because uh, while subterraneans come up from the ground, you might see drywood termites up high in like attic voids more often than not. Subterranean termites are going to build their colonies anywhere they can get them. So that while they may start at the bottom, they could work their way up throughout the entire structure. So
okay.
that's why our specialists, when they get out, The inspection consists of the exterior of the structure itself, the interior, bath traps, attics. So we're looking for every conceivable place that they're going to hide. That doesn't mean that we're always going to find them, and that's really the problem, Paul. Is we use this phrase accessible areas when we're talking about termites, because if they come up through anything from a crack in the foundation, the weep holes on the exterior of the building, we were talking about the accessible areas. So not everything's always going to be easy to view. You're talking about insulation in the attic obstructing the view. I mean, they could come in behind the gutters when you have termite swarmers flying in, and they create that colony. They could create it up high, and you'll never notice it, or the colony can come up from the ground. So that is why it is so important to either one, have the monitoring stations, or two, to have the frequent inspections. And I would encourage that with anybody. You know, I would love to say, hey, come use BUGCO, give us a call, and we'll inspect. But your home and your business, those are investments. So no matter who you use, it's just that important to have the frequent either monitoring or inspections for termites.
Okay. And you serve customers all throughout the San Antonio area. Is that right, Daryl?
We serve the greater San Antonio metro area, the outlying areas as far as, you know, Bernie, San Marcos, down south. So yeah, I would certainly encourage everyone that if you did, even if you have a concern, you don't think you have termites, you just want peace of mind, let one of our specialists get eyes on it. And that's going to be most important is, like we talked about earlier, Paul, before we do anything, it's inspection. You know, we don't clean pools, we don't install, you know, air conditioning units. We are pest control specialists. Our technicians are highly trained in this regard. So I would really recommend getting a set of eyes on it and determining what your needs are.
Okay. Well, that's great, Daryl. I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Paul.